3 weeks. That's all it took. Just 3 weeks ago, they were standing at the altar, surrounded by friends and family, promising each other a lifetime of love and happiness. To everyone who watched them exchange vows, they were the perfect couple, the very picture of a fairy tale romance. People smiled, they cried happy tears, they toasted to a future they believed was just beginning. No one, not a single person in that room could have imagined that their beautiful love story was about to become a horrifying crime scene. After the wedding, she was ecstatic, practically floating on air. She embraced her new role as a wife with all the joy in her heart. She poured love into their small home, decorating it with little touches that made it theirs. You could find her new last name scribbled playfully on notepads, a joyful testament to her new beginning. She was already planning for the future, their first Thanksgiving. A summer vacation, maybe even the gentle hum of a nursery one day. Her heart was full of hopes and dreams for the life she was building with the man she loved. But beneath the surface of this picture-perfect marriage, a dark current was already pulling them under. Something was terribly wrong from the very start. The man she had just married, the man who had promised to love and cherish her, became a different person behind closed doors. He was cold, distant, and possessed by a suffocating jealousy. A simple conversation with a friend would trigger an interrogation. He began isolating her, discouraging her from seeing the people she loved. Her phone became his property, constantly checked, her messages scrutinized. He hurled accusations at her, wild, unfounded claims of things she had never done, slowly chipping away at her spirit. Then, exactly 3 weeks after their wedding day, she vanished. Just like that. One moment she was there, and the next she was gone. For her family, panic set in instantly. This wasn't like her. She was the kind of daughter, the kind of sister who always answered your call, who texted back right away, who would never, ever just disappear without a word. Her love for her mother, her sisters, and her friends was a constant, a bright and steady light in all their lives. The silence was deafening, and they knew in their hearts that something was terribly wrong. The police were called, and the search began at the one place it had to, their home, the home she had so lovingly decorated. Inside, investigators quickly uncovered the grim truth. There were signs of a violent struggle. Subtle but unmistakable. They found areas that had been scrubbed clean, a frantic attempt to erase what had happened, but the most disturbing discovery of all was how quickly her husband's story began to crumble under the weight of his own lies. He seemed to have a different explanation for her absence every time he was asked. First, he claimed she had simply left. Then, the story changed. She was angry with him and stormed out. Then, another version. Maybe she had run away, started a new life somewhere else. None of it added up. His stories were a tangled web of contradictions, and with each lie, the shadow of suspicion over him grew darker and more defined. The physical evidence told a much more sinister story, a story of what really happened inside their house. Investigators pieced together the final, terrifying moments of her life. They believe that his jealousy, which had been simmering since the day they were married, finally boiled over into an uncontrollable rage. He couldn't stand the thought of her leaving him, and he couldn't bear the thought of anyone else ever having her. And so, just 21 days after he promised to protect her for the rest of his life, he became her killer. Now, her family is forced to endure an unimaginable agony. They sit in a cold, sterile courtroom day after day, listening to the horrific details of how her wedding, a day she had dreamed of her entire life, a day of pure joy and celebration, became the starting point for her own tragic, violent end. They had welcomed him into their family. They had trusted him with their most precious gift. And in the ultimate act of betrayal, he didn't just break their trust, he shattered their world and took her life. This story is a heartbreaking reminder of how quickly a dream can turn into a nightmare, and how the people we believe we know best can hide the darkest of secrets. We often see the curated perfection of weddings and new beginnings, but we rarely see the hidden struggles that can lead to such a devastating conclusion. For this family, the memory of a beautiful bride in a white dress is now forever intertwined with the image of a crime scene. A painful paradox they must carry for the rest of their lives. The promise of "I do" became a death sentence, and the hope for happily ever after was extinguished in an act of unthinkable violence. Thank you for watching and for taking the time to hear this important story. If you found this content meaningful, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more. Your support helps us continue to share these stories and bring awareness to these critical issues. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.